Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining. Steve Patton from Via Science. We are a company that's based in the US, Canada, and Switzerland. And today I'd like to tell you about how we are working on unlocking data in order to tame grid complexity. I'll be joined with my CEO, Colin Gounden, who will be available to answer questions afterwards. A quick 30-second pitch is Via's technology is a transformational shift in the way data is stored, secured, and shared. So we upend the current system with, we say, stop decrypting your data and sending it around. Instead, keep it encrypted and at rest. And for the rest of the presentation, we'll tell you how we do that. So next slide, please. The grid is getting very complex. So I list here 6 conditions that are coming. I'm seeing a lag. There we go. So these are things in the last 5 or 10 years that are new and are only going to exacerbate the complexity of the grid: intermittent renewable power, dispatchable energy storage, two-way power flows, flexible demand, transportation electrification, carbon accounting. Next slide, please. And when you add all these conditions to an already complex grid, it gets very tough. So imagine matching intermittent supply with flexible demand. You can see that it's a complex problem to solve and optimize just for the energy flow, like the electrons alone. So, but imagine the layer on top of that, which is the information flow that has to happen. So we work on that layer because that information flow that has to happen in order for the energy flow to happen are things like who's generating right now, who's willing to curtail, who is bidding in and ready to charge their EV fleet, or things like that. So these are information or data problems. And as the grid gets more complex, we're going to need more and more of this to solve. However, a lot of this data is private or proprietary and will not want to be shared. So that's where we come in, because if it doesn't want to be shared, it's not going to flow, and then you have a problem with the power flowing. So next slide, please. This is where we transform the current data paradigm. And this is our 5-second pitch, which is we say send algorithms to the data, not data to algorithms. So it's what we mean by that is stop decrypting data and sending it off. Like that's the current paradigm. That's what everyone does. Hey, I need 5 years of your historical data to model. Okay, here, let me decrypt it and send you a CSV file. Our technology, you don't have to do that. Next, please. So we use privacy enhancing technologies, blockchain, homomorphic encryption, to create a privacy layer around data so that it stays at rest and encrypted. That way, algorithms are then moved to encrypted data where they can do private computation on it. And then instead, answers are sent back. So in that sense, your grid now has algorithm flows and answer flows rather than data flows. So we really think it's a revolutionary way of doing it. We also think it empowers data owners, so it's good for them. It ensures customer privacy. It's good for them. And in the energy space, we think, and we're hearing that regulators will really like this as well. So with all this, we think we can tame the grid complexity. Next, please. A little bit of history of us. We do have some of the largest power providers in the world with us. We also have some work with governments and energy regulators, and we are leaders in data privacy and cybersecurity. We were recently awarded one of the highest cybersecurity accreditations with the U.S. Department of Defense. We're Platform 1. And next, I'm going to go into the ask. So there are many energy problems that our solution will solve, but I'm going to focus on 2 today. Next. Back one, please. So first, we're looking for energy asset owners. So wind farms, solar farms, electric substation, utility scale storage to join our virtual consortia in order to build better models, save operating costs, and improve efficiency. So next, please. I'll explain what virtual consortia is. So the idea here is that you need a lot of data to train AI models. There we go. Again, let's not send all this data around, decrypt it and send it. Let's virtually pool it. So that's what our technology allows it. So on the left-hand side, you need a huge amount of data to properly train an accurate model. And you see on the right, a typical utility or a generating company doesn't have nearly that amount of data, but together they can pool. Again, they keep their data and it stays there and people can't see it, but models are allowed to run anonymously on it and get the top operating models out of it. So next, please.
Hey, Steve, just a heads up, 30-second warning.
Okay. Okay, next, one more slide. This is our second ask. So we're looking for energy providers, aggregators, meter manufacturers, anyone eager to collaborate, people that have data and people that want data. So this could be, anything. We believe, everything's going to be metered in the future. So that data implies privacy and it's going to be constrained. So anyone on either end of that. So, on the smart meter side, HEMS providers, VPP providers, even AI shops that are looking to build models. They're going to need data, and our system's a way to get it. And of course, EV charging networks, EV charging OEMs, demand response companies, and the like. So next, please. Yeah, so please join us. We're looking for people in the energy space to join us for either the consortium or for the at the meter solutions. And I'll take questions.
Thank you very much, Steve. Any questions?
I think there are 2 questions in the chat.
Looking for them.
The first question is, Steve, what is the benefit for energy providers to collaborate? I think you hit on that with your virtual consortia, but do you want to reiterate?
Right. So if you're an asset operator, like a generation operator, you can pool more data. So you have a much larger data set with which to build and train models and find best practices, and especially for wind and solar, which are relatively new. So something like a coal plant, we know best practices to run that because they've been running for 150 years. But for a lot of these wind farms are 3 to 5 years old. So for the utility, it's that's the benefit for them to collaborate.
Go ahead, Dr. Grauer.
What's your sort of defensive wall? How do you keep people from replicating what you do? You obviously have to collaborate with an operator in order to build this operating model. What keeps somebody else from doing what you're doing?
Steve, would you like me to take that?
Yeah, please.
Great. So first, that's a great question. On the models themselves, actually, we feel like that's totally fine for it's hard for us to actually be the experts in all things and all people. And if people want to own those models, and there should be competition. So actually, we're okay that other people have models that they bring in terms of analytics and analysis. I think where we're special is around the ability to allow those models to be built either by us or by a third party, and keeping the data private and secure. The wall, there is. We have issued patents. We have 3 issued patents and 12 patents that are pending. We also, as Steve referenced, just this week we announced highest level of cybersecurity clearance for our software, which is available not just to DoD customers but to others. So that's above it's above classified level. It's top secret level. We think cybersecurity is everybody's, is something for everybody, but it's to maintain that cybersecurity clearance is hard, and so we think that's the it's another aspect and hard to replicate.
Colin, maybe you want to speak real quickly about what it means to be at that, how often your team gets tested on their cyber penetrability.
Yeah, it's a continuous testing process. So I think a few weeks ago when we spoke, we presented at another Deep Tech showcase. I think it was every 12 hours that we had to test it. Actually, it's now 4 hours. So the standard has gone up. So every 4 and it'll probably continue to move. Literally every 4 hours we have our software tested, and then we have 12 hours to respond if there's an issue.
Oh, amazing.
Right.
Mike, you have a quick question?
Yeah, thanks, guys. Steve, I was just curious. We have we're in the middle of working on a process right now to harvest rare earth elements from post-combustion fly ash, and the idea is, and we're working on some code right now to quantify those rare earth elements as they become available, as the electrolysis process happens, and then those particulates become available, is to actually quantify and monetize those things in real time. And obviously you'd have to use some sort of a blockchain technology, and the encryption that you guys are dealing with is exactly what I think what we're looking for. Are you doing private partnerships in some regard, or?
Yep.
Sure. Yeah, Mike, I did see your presentation. I loved it. So we should connect. Colin, go ahead.
No, exactly. That's exactly right. Happy to do that.
And I see a question on multi-party computation. And how is this different from multi-party computation? Multi-party computation is one of the privacy enhancing technologies that we use, along with homomorphic encryption, differential privacy. So, we're a shop that is an expert in all those things. And so how's it different? I would say we use it. So